It is Saturday, September 20th, about 4:30 p.m. West Coast time. I hope everybody is having a fun and safe weekend. I've been talking for months about sooner or later Donald Trump is going to get to the end of his rope with Pam Bondi and Kash Patel because they are not prosecuting anyone on Trump's enemies list, which was also an appendix to Kash Patel's book, Government Gangsters, that was published in late 2022. And MAGA is upset about it. The base is upset about it. None of the January 6th committee people have been prosecuted for whatever. None of the impeachment managers have been prosecuted for whatever. And this week we saw a U.S. attorney in the Eastern District of Virginia resign rather than do a sham prosecution of New York Attorney General Letitia James with no evidence to back it up. And this afternoon at 3:44 p.m., Trump went on to Truth Social and wrote a Truth Social post directed at Pam Bondi on this issue. I'm going to read the whole thing. Add your all caps and multiple exclamation points where you feel it's appropriate. Pam, I have reviewed over 30 statements and posts saying essentially, same old story as last time, all talk, no action, nothing is being done. What about Comey, Adam Shifty Schiff, Letitia James? They're all guilty as hell, but nothing is going to be done. Then we almost put in a Democrat-supported U.S. attorney in Virginia with a really bad Republican past. That's the guy that I was just talking about. A woke rhino who was never going to do his job. That's why two of the worst Dem senators pushed him so hard. I'm guessing the two Democratic senators from Virginia. He even lied to the media and said that he quit and that we had no case. No, I fired him. That's not true. And there is a great case against Letitia James. And many lawyers, legal pundits say so. None of them say so. Lindsey Halligan is a really good lawyer and likes you a lot. We can't delay any longer. It's killing our reputation and credibility. They impeached me twice and indicted me 5 times. It's actually four times. Over nothing. Justice must be served now. President DJT. Okay, Lindsey Halligan is apparently an attorney who is currently serving as a special assistant to President Trump in his second term. She's the one who told Donald Trump to remove certain exhibits from the Smithsonian because of improper ideology. So that's who Lindsey Halligan is. But this is, and MAGA's too stupid to see this. They're too just gobsmackingly dumb. This is the President of the United States doing a Truth Social post directly to the Attorney General of the United States, telling her explicitly who to prosecute. Prior to Donald Trump's first administration, the Department of Justice, and specifically the Attorney General, had operated completely independent of the President of the United States in order to prevent this exact thing, to be impartial and to pursue cases without preference to anyone and not dismiss cases based on preference for anyone. The DOJ and the Attorney General, it is essential that they be independent of the president, that they function independently of the president, but also that the public perceive them as being independent of the president of the United States in order for the public to have faith in what the Attorney General and the Department of Justice are doing. And now we have Pam Bondi as Attorney General. We have Donald Trump's former criminal defense attorney, Todd Blanche, who's the deputy director of the Attorney General and who recently interviewed Ghislaine Maxwell in order to try to clear Donald Trump in the Jeffrey Epstein case. And we have podcast bros Kash Patel and Dan Bongino running the FBI. And I did a long video on my YouTube page last week about the lawsuit that 3 former senior executives for the FBI filed against Kash Patel, in which they said explicitly that he was taking his orders from Stephen Miller in the White House and from Emile Beauvais when Emile Beauvais was the number 3 person at the DOJ before he was elevated to a federal judgeship on an appellate court in New York. There is zero independence. This is explicitly the President of the United States in a Truth Social post of all things. How ridiculous is that? Instructing, ordering the Attorney General for the United States to prosecute specific individuals, none of whom have been demonstrated to be guilty of any crime whatsoever. That's why the U.S. Attorney for the Eastern District of Virginia resigned last week. There was no evidence based on his investigation to prosecute Letitia James. Donald Trump said he was going to fire him, but never did, and he resigned. Rather than do that, rather than prosecute someone with no evidence to support that prosecution, which would necessarily entail lying to a federal judge, lying to a jury, lying to the American people, and would probably encompass fabricating evidence. And that U.S. attorney, his name's Eric something, I can't remember his last name, he resigned. And Donald Trump was pissed off that he resigned before Donald Trump got a chance to fire him. I think this is the 3rd Truth Social post where he's like, I fired him, he didn't resign. Like, who gives a shit, dude? I mean, this is authoritarian, banana republic, third world dictator bullshit. And it's just more of, you know, and when Emile Beauvais was the acting number 3 guy at the Department of Justice, remember everything that happened with the prosecution of Eric Adams, New York City mayor, on all kinds of corruption charges. And there were multiple DOJ attorneys, line prosecutors, in, I think it was the civil corruption unit at the Department of Justice in Washington, D.C., who resigned rather than sign a letter saying that there was no case against Eric Adams because the Trump administration was trying to get that case dismissed without prejudice, meaning they could bring it again so that they would have leverage over the mayor of New York City. It was a blackmail scheme. The DOJ at the highest levels was engaging in a blackmail scheme against the mayor of New York. And the judge finally was like, no, I'm going to dismiss the case, but I'm going to do it with prejudice, meaning you can never bring this prosecution against him ever again. And totally fucked up Emile Beauvais and Donald Trump's plans to blackmail the mayor of New York with a potential prosecution hanging over his head so that he would help out with their ICE raids. The Department of Justice has been thoroughly corrupted and politicized. Donald Trump is running it on his Truth Social platform. He's giving orders to the Attorney General of the United States, not even using her title. Pam, I have reviewed over 30 statements and posts. This is not how I envisioned my mid to late 50s, dealing with an authoritarian dictator wannabe as President of the United States. But this is some bullshit.